The Flash versus Flashpoint Paradox. What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So in this video, I wanted to try something a little bit different, something a little bit new that I haven't really done before in my other videos, or just basically a brand new video idea that I had, and I want to give it a try. Please let me know down in the comments below if you like this idea, and maybe I should try some other ones. Do let me know though. So we got the recent release of The Flash this past week, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. And y'all see my review. For those of y'all that have seen my review, if you haven't seen my review, go check out my review for The Flash. I have a full in-depth review on the channel, so go check that out. Check that video out if you haven't yet. So this one is not going to be necessarily a full review. This is going to be just brief review and basically just giving my quick thoughts on this. But basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is comparing the Flash movie that we just got and comparing it, going up against the Justice League Flashpoint Paradox anime movie that we got back from 2013, I believe. So basically, I am going to be comparing the two, just giving my thoughts on both of them and seeing how well they actually compare, seeing what the differences are, seeing what the similarities are in these movies. So let's go and get into this video. So we got The Flash, and like I said, check out my review for a full in-depth review on that. But I enjoyed The Flash for what it was. I had a lot of fun with the movie, but like I said, there's still, when it was all said and done, when I finished watching the movie, it just felt like this movie was missing something. It just needs something extra for me to be able to like it more, to be able to put it as that top tier kind of DCEU movie. Like other people were saying, other people were basically overhyping this movie, saying it was the best comic book movie, best DC movie. So they basically were overhyping this movie. When I watched it, the Flash movie, over the weekend, I cannot say the same. I did not have the hype for it as much after watching it. I liked the movie. I enjoyed the movie for most part and had fun watching the movie. But there's a lot of great parts in this movie. But when it comes to the sum of it all in this whole movie, it just didn't do as well for me as I was hoping for. And I really did want to enjoy this movie and like this movie way more than I do now, and because Flash is one of my favorite characters of all time in DC. So I just was hoping and excited for this movie, and I was just hoping this movie will actually be able to do really well. Unfortunately, it did not suffice to get to that level of that like top tier kind of level, you know. But the way this movie plays out, The Flash, it is basically DCEU's Flashpoint. For those of y'all familiar with the Flashpoint storyline in the comics, there is a whole storyline where Barry goes back in time to save his mother, and basically butterfly effects happen. It sets up and basically changes a lot of things into the future timeline. The way the Flash movie plays out, basically the way I see it is that this is DCEU's, basically their version of Flashpoint. There's a lot of similarities. There is some similarities to the comic book Flashpoint that we get in this movie, mainly where Barry goes back in time to try and save his mother, but there's definitely a lot of differences, and this is basically an adaptation that they're doing of that comic book line, but there's definitely a lot of changes. Some of the changes that they did not do for this movie was that Aquaman and Wonder Woman actually have a big World War type of battle, like on Earth and all that. This is like a huge battle that's going on between the Amazons and the Atlanteans, and Aquaman versus Wonder Woman. A huge battle that's going on that is takes place over most of the world. This is taking place over most of the world. It's doing a lot, and it's a big, huge battle that's going on. Another important thing that happened was that Bruce Wayne, instead of Thomas Wayne, instead of Martha Wayne being killed, it is actually Bruce Wayne that gets killed. Thomas Wayne actually becomes Batman because of Bruce Wayne being killed. Bruce Wayne's mom, Martha, actually goes crazy from Bruce Wayne's death, that she actually becomes the Joker. So that's one big thing that happens. Another big thing is that Superman does crash land on Earth, but he is actually captured by the government and held captive, and away from the sun for many years. And Flash and Thomas Wayne Batman actually go and try to help him escape so that they could use him to help fight in the battle. So there's definitely some other differences that go on. Of course, like there was some similarities that we got in the Flash movie, of course, where Barry does go back in time to save his mother. And another one was, instead of Superman, it's actually Supergirl that's held captive, and they go and try to rescue her. That's two of the main things that they kept from the comic book line. So like I do like a lot of things that the Flash movie was able to do, but of course this is an adaptation of the Flashpoint comic storyline, and they didn't like fully adapt every little thing from that storyline. Basically, the way I see it is this is the DCEU's version of Flashpoint from the comics. So it takes events from DCEU past movies and puts them into this, like we got with basically every hash of Man of Steel, where General Zod comes to Earth looking for the missing Kryptonian, the lost Kryptonian, which happens to be Supergirl. So basically, it does have some similarities and there is some differences. Now, moving on to the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie that we got from 2013, they were able to do this movie pretty quickly, like make this movie pretty quickly, because I believe the Flashpoint comic book storyline happened in 2011. This movie, I believe, came out in 2013. The way this movie plays out, it is a great animated movie. I recommend y'all check it out if y'all haven't checked it out yet. It is definitely a great animated movie. The way this animated movie plays out, this is almost a beat for beat adaptation of the comic book storyline. There's a lot. It basically goes beat for beat. Basically tells the story the same way it does in the comics. There might be slight differences, but is basically a majority of it is basically a beat for beat reenactment, or basically beat for beat animated movie version of the comic book storyline. Basically gets all the important parts and all the major parts from the comics, and it puts them in this anime movie. The anime movie, I think, is only like an hour and 25 minutes, maybe hour 20 minutes, hour 25 minutes, roughly around that long. But the thing is basically a majority of it is basically a beat for beat rendition of the comic book storyline that we got in the comics. So basically, it's a simplified version of what we get. And I like this anime movie so much; it's so good. I definitely recommend y'all checking it out. But basically, like I said, basically beat for beat. There's like just slight things they added in this movie, but the whole story is basically there. The whole story is basically there, and that's where it's definitely some, of course, differences between the Flash movie and the Flashpoint Paradox anime movie. So basically comparing those two, y'all get what I'm trying to say, where there's definitely similarities, but there's definitely some differences. When it comes down to it, which one do I enjoy, or which one I think is kind of better in a sense of sort of as a movie? Which one do I think is better as a movie, and which one do I think is better as adapting the comic storyline? If I compared the two and how I felt watching both of them, and just the way I enjoy watching both of them, and what do I get out of both of them, I would have to say the one that does it better, or the one that's better to me mainly, would be the animated movie of Flashpoint Paradox. Just watching that movie, I remember watching that movie, and it's probably one of my favorite DC animated movies. I watched that one, I watched it many times before, so it's like one of my favorites to watch. And they just be able to get the Flashpoint Paradox storyline right. It's basically a beat for beat. And I think it's similar, basically better. The voice acting is great in there. There's a lot of great action, a great storyline going on in this animated movie. And I just like it and enjoy it more than the Flash movie that we just recently got. Now, I'm not bashing on the Flash movie or anything like that. If y'all want my full in-depth review, go check out my full in-depth review. But like I said, I did like this movie. I did enjoy it. I did have fun with it. But there's still some stuff that was missing from this movie that I just felt like it needed more to be able to put on that top tier level. So even though I enjoyed the movie and all that, I still think that the Flashpoint Paradox anime movie was still able to do some things better than the Flash movie. So that is the one I would actually pick as far as which one I like more, which one I think is better, and which one does the better adaptation of doing the comic book storyline. It would have to be the Flashpoint Paradox anime movie, which is one of my favorite DC anime movies. It's probably the one I watched the most out of all the DC anime movies. So y'all can tell that this one is definitely a good one. And I do highly recommend y'all check it out if y'all haven't checked it out already. It's a damn good movie. Go check it out if you haven't yet. But yeah, that is how I would compare the two movies. What are the differences between them? What are the similarities between them? But let me know down in the comments below. If you have actually seen the animated movie, let me know your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on the Flash movie that we just recently got? And definitely tell me if you've seen both of the movies, which one do you prefer? But that's going to do all for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Remember, if you want to be part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope y'all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.